Now, we want to talk to you about listening, and it's something that obviously we all do because that's why you're here today. We thrive on the fact that listening is a beautiful art form. But we want to ask you how often you think that you truly listen. That lies at the heart of the Listening Project. It's a very, very simple premise. It's two people sitting down, really listening to each other and having a conversation that really matters to them. It's recorded by people like Graham at local radio level. It then comes to Radio 4, and it's kind of reformed into a separate little programme that goes out on Sunday afternoons. And the big part of the project, and something that makes it unique, is it then goes on to be stored in a sound archive at the British Library for future generations to access forevermore. Now, I could talk to you for half an hour or 40 minutes about the content of the Listening Project, the difficulties that we've had in getting it off the ground, the other aims and ambitions for it, the tea and coffee that we served at previous events and all that kind of stuff. But the best thing is to simply listen to some of the stuff that we've already made. So, you've got blindfolds. Have you all got blindfolds? Gentleman down here, very keen to put his on. Yes, you, sir. So if you'd all like to get your blindfolds on, because what we want to try and do, and we've got 3 of these beautiful conversations to play to you, we would like you to try and enjoy listening to the power of 3. We want you to stop thinking about all the other things that you usually think about while you're listening, while the 3 of them on stage. Is her jumper actually formerly a rabbit? All that kind of stuff. And just take it back, wind your necks in, and do nothing but listen for the next 3 minutes. What you're going to hear, blindfolds down. There's no point in putting it on like a headband. That's not what you do with it, thank you. What you're going to hear is a conversation between a mother and son. Now, this is Sasha and Paddy. Paddy is 10 years old. Sasha has 5 children, 3 of whom have a congenital heart disorder, and Paddy is one of her children who has this. And you would think, wouldn't you, that that heart condition and what that means would be something that they'd talk about all the time in the family. But as is often the case with real conversation, it doesn't happen very easily. Those kind of things can be the stuff of life that just dances around like a hoverfly, the elephant in the room that's never tackled. But the magic of the Listening Project is that it enables people to sit down for a while and really ask the questions that matter. You, sir, blindfold down. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sasha Torbeck-Cooper, and I'm here with Paddy, my son.
Hello.
How old are you, Paddy?
I'm 10.
Are you going to giggle the whole way through?
I don't know.
Okay. You laugh all the time, don't you? You're quite giggly. And I'm wondering, is that tooth going to fall out during our interview?
No.
Hopefully not.
No.
Today we went to the hospital, didn't we, to have an ECG monitor fitted on you for 7 days. Why are you excited about having the monitor on?
Because I don't have to have a bath or shower for a whole week.
You can still have a wash.
I know.
Because otherwise you will smell disgusting. Tell me about your heart condition. How does it make you feel when you think about it?
I think about it sometimes, like when I'm not allowed to do things at school, but I don't really think about it that much.
Do you ever get scared about your heart condition, or if your heart's racing?
Sometimes when I start to go dizzy and it starts to hurt around my heart and my heart starts going really fast. I just think I'm going to faint or something, which I get scared about.
And this is a bit of a horrible question. You don't have to answer me. Does it scare you, the thought that you might die because of your heart condition? Or do you not ever think about it?
I don't really think about that.
That's good.
Yeah. One thing I've always wondered, it's really random.
Okay, we can do random.
But why can't we hang on electric wires, but pigeons or birds can just go and sit there? And how if we go up there we get electrocuted?
Now I'm going to have to think in my back to when I used to do physics at school. It's to do with being earthed to the ground. And I can't think more than that, Paddy. Don't ask me technical questions. But that's good, because that means you can just carry on with your life and not worry about having your heart condition. It's like I don't have the heart condition, but I worry about you and Izzy and Scarlett, who've obviously all got the same heart condition, and I worry about it all the time. Do you know that? Do I hide it, or do you know that I get upset about
I
it?
know that you get upset about it.
How do you know?
Because you just walk off and then you come back and you have big black marks under your eyes.
Where my makeup's run.
Yeah.
Because it makes me really sad.
Mhm.
It'll be fine, won't it? Because we've got all the doctors looking after you.
Yeah.
You can take your blindfolds off now. So that was Sasha and Paddy. I've heard that about 50 times over the last 6 months, and every time I hear it, it sends shivers down my spine because it's a real conversation, isn't it? It's not doctored. Nobody's asking, someone to give an extra opinion. It's just two people sitting down and talking about something that really does matter. Now, it was produced by Graham, and we wanted Graham to come along today because the production of these conversations can be essential to what then comes out. Did you know, when you were recording with Sasha and Paddy, that was a magic piece of radio?
I don't think I did. I didn't know immediately. I think I thought there were good bits in it. I think particularly what stood out was Sasha asking the question, the big question, are you scared of dying, basically? A question which I could never, ever ask a child, obviously, in that situation. I realised that was pretty good, pretty important in terms of the radio magic. And also his response, he quickly moved on and asks a strange question about birds sitting on wires. I thought that revealed to me that I was getting a bit of radio which accurately reflected actually a 10-year-old, and the 30 minutes we recorded over, it was more about Sasha's anxiety than it was about Paddy's anxiety. 10-year-old boys don't worry about that heart conditions. That's what came out of it.
Do.
But Sasha does all the time, which she said.
And why do you think these conversations are so different, and what's important about them being different to what we might otherwise hear across radio?
Well, I think they're really important to the people who record them. That's the one thing I learned very quickly from the listening project, the British Library element, and also just having the conversation. I wasn't sure about the concept, about sitting down and saying, this is a chance to have a really meaningful conversation. I didn't think people would buy into that, but they did. And somebody like Sasha did very, very quickly. And it's the fact that it's her, or it would be a father and son, or whoever the relationship. It's they who control, they who produce what is asked and what is said. Over the course of 40, 50 minutes, they can discuss all sorts of things, but it's absolutely up to them. I can gently coerce them or nudge them in a direction, but it's ultimately their decision.
Do many of the people who take part in the project care about the kind of the scope of it? It's a pan BBC, it could go global kind of thing. It ends up in the British Library, it goes on Radio 4. It can be everywhere, but it's very intimate when it starts.
I think people think about the British Library. I don't think they think beyond that particularly. And I think
they don't think about Radio 4.
No, I'm sorry. I think it's the British Library, as a producer, part of the job is explaining to them and almost selling the concept to them. And that's what they like, the idea that generations hence can hear it. I think they're all surprised when it does appear on Radio 4 or Berkshire and Oxford, in my perspective, because they are intimate conversations and people don't expect necessarily other people to be interested. So they're really surprised, especially if it goes, as Sasha and Paddy did, it went on television, it went very, very broadly.
For a producer, why is it nice to work on? Because you've actually asked to stay on board the project, haven't you? It's going round BBC local radio stations kind of, in turn, and you wanted to stay with it.
Well, it's unlike anything I've ever done. I've been working the BBC for 10 years, and the nature of it is fascinating. Sometimes you feel like a therapist, because they are like therapeutic conversations people have sometimes. They can be very rewarding for the people. They can be very difficult as well. So sometimes I'm a therapist, although albeit a quiet one. More often than not, I'm an eavesdropper. And it's fascinating. If you're nosy, it's a fascinating job.
It is. There's a website as well where you can go and you can listen to probably about 300 or 400 conversations that are already up there. And if you are a bit nosy, or if you want to put that in a nicer way, you like to learn from other people's experience and wisdom through life, you can just click on them. They're listed under many different topics. And I probably do about 1 or 2 a day, and they're like kind of fish oil supplements for your ears and your soul, without the haddocky burp that comes later. Would you like to hear another one? Put your blindfolds on, please. Do you enjoy the sensation of putting your blindfolds on to listen? Yes, Good. You're about to hear from Jasmine and Jazwan. Now, he's a doctor, she's a biomedical scientist, and they wanted to use the Listening Project to talk about their marriage, which was an arranged marriage, arranged for them by their parents back in India 34 years ago. And perhaps what's worth noticing about this conversation is the different way in which an arranged marriage is talked about, because of course there's a reason for doing interviews about the political and cultural significance of arranged marriages, but the anecdotes in this, I think, are absolutely beautiful.
I found strength in that I am near this person whom my parents have chosen for me, and he's going to look after me. So if I had to choose my own, if I had to select my own, I wouldn't have found anything near you, because it is so difficult to find a life partner.
Oh yes, of course, we are two different people, and it's like north and south.
Yeah.
And but the key thing is you have managed the house. Also, you are the finance minister. You look after all the affairs, because after that I've got no clue about things. And I think most fascinating, or the thing which I'm grateful to you, is because when we came to UK, it was a struggle to achieve where I am, and I had to move the jobs around on several places. You're a good cook, and I always admire your cooking, because you can cook my meat, even though you don't taste it, it's perfect.
You've always given me what I wanted, though sometimes you whinged a little bit to start with.
Well, as you know, I'm very stingy. And always and so much so I don't even buy things for myself. You buy my clothes, my shoes.
You don't even know the size of your underwear, do you?
That is true.
I have to get everything and keep your clothes ready in the morning in the lounge, so that you don't mismatch your turban and your tie, isn't it? But I'm so glad that you're able to pick them up and wear them, and you look really smart in them then.
A lot depends on what person's values are, because the marriage is give and take.
Don't you think it could be because we both did not have any close contact with the opposite sex before?
I mean,
yes,
I think that is important, but other important thing is the way in which we have been brought up.
If I had to choose my own, first of all, I couldn't, because I would look for a package,
Because as you know, I'm a person of very few words, but I have to say that you're the most fascinating person, and you're the lovely wife. I don't think I would have had anybody better than you. You are the best.
I can't thank you enough, because you've given me the best experience in life. Life is the whole world I have in my, arms, I feel. We are together, and that it is magical.
Blindfolds off. I'm Tony Phillips, and I commissioned this project for the BBC. When Jasmine and Jasmine finished their conversation, they wrote to us. In fact, they wrote to David Reeves up at BBC Radio in Humberside, and they thanked him, and they thanked us. And of course, we should have been thanking them. But what they said, one of the things that they said, for me, kind of crystallised what the project is trying to achieve. They said, one line that stuck out for me was, amidst our busy lives, we get so entangled with the daily routines that we forget to sit and give 100% to the one who means the most. That's a basic principle that has been driving the project, the producers and me since January of this year when we started in on this journey. And as the person responsible for commissioning this project, one of the questions that I'm most often asked is, why do people do it? Why are people prepared to share things that are really deeply personal so publicly? Why would they do this? And I haven't quite got an answer apart from they do, but I also know that David Isay, the person whose idea we are standing on really, it's a project in America called StoryCorps. David Isay, I know, has been asked this question over the last 10 years. He started this project by placing a huge recording booth, really, in Grand Central Station. And he invited people to go inside this booth with a friend, with a loved one, and record a 40-minute conversation. Now, of course, he couldn't have chosen a busier station, a busier place, actually, in the world. You know, you've got commuters and tourists going by constantly, the noise, the racket. But then inside the booth, you've got people peeling off and recoiling into their own personal stories and conversations. In effect, they're swimming against the tide of the hustle and the bustle of New York City. And actually what they're doing is, as Jasmine said, they are giving 100% to the one who means the most. Now, when they opened this booth nearly 10 years ago in New York, the person who opened it, the person who cut the ribbon, was the great American oral historian Studs Terkel. And Studs gave a characteristic speech full of laughter, full of humour. But one of the things that he said was, we know the name of the guy who built Grand Central Station. We know the name of the architect, but we don't know the guy who laid the floor or built the walls. And in many respects, that's what we're trying to achieve with the Listening Project. We're trying to give voice to what Studs would call the little guy. And so we're going to have our own BBC booths very soon. And this is a way of us getting further and deeper into the UK, into communities, into groups, into schools. And that way we should be able to celebrate our own little guys and little girls.
So what we need from you is your support, really, because it is a project that is only going to truly succeed, and it has been very, very successful already, but it will only really get the wind beneath its wings if it becomes something that people talk about. And David Isay has this ambition in America to make StoryCorps something that touches every single family. Every family knows someone who's done a story for StoryCorps, and I guess that's what we would like for the Listening Project too. So we're #Listening Project. We're bbc.co.uk/Listening Project. We're on air on October the 5th on BBC Radio 4 on Sundays after Gardener's Question Time, and we're all over BBC Local Radio like a welcome rash. So if you could join us, listen to us, celebrate us, think about doing a conversation yourself, basically join our cult, then that would be a fantastic thing to do. And look, professional radio presenter, whoosh, in at 0. Oh. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Oh, I loved the Radio 4 thing with the listening. In fact, I'm going to go and find them on the... because I haven't heard that programme before, so I'm definitely going to go and find it. So, liked that. In fact, it nearly brought a tear to my eye.